Great day for Indian cricket for all the Indian fans. Most of the Indian fans, including you and I, are smiling, barring a few incidents of racial slurs and abuses being hurled at Indian cricketers. I thought Sydney really ended in the way that uh, all the fans, included us, we hoped to, especially at the end of the fourth innings. And before I start the today's episode, Didi, I would just want to say one thing. Before today, we looked at data and stats saying that since in the last decade or so, the longest that India has batted in a fourth innings is 96 overs against England. The highest that India have scored is about a 296 or something like that, 345, something like that, in a losing cause. And therefore, the stats were heavily, stacked against India. And I think that is the beauty and burden of stats, is that it can only give you an indication of what happened in the past, but it can never really predict on what can possibly happen on the day, on the match day. And therefore there is always this beautiful possibility of someone coming into, or or a team or a bunch of guys coming in together and really kind of making a mockery of the statistics, so as to say. So on that note, uh, on that beautiful note of stats and how India fought today, I am keen to listen to you, Didi. I know that you're just barely trying to hide your smile under your lips, but you're very happy with the way India has played today. So over to you.
I think I'm more than happy. I'm proud, and every Indian will echo this feeling. If there is one adjective we can select today, it's pride and character, right? So, first of all, let's not do too much of analysis and let's just be happy and proud of the way we have managed to end this test match, right? Many people, many people would not have given India a chance, especially with the injuries mid-match, let let alone the injuries pre-match, right, where we lost a few people, as in lost a few critical
Yeah,
members of our squad.
yeah,
So I think before we go down deep into what transpired in the last couple of days, I think it's a moment of joy. It's unadulterated joy, and happiness, and of course proud of the way that Indians showed character. On a fifth day pitch, it was not easy, and as we talk more, then we can discuss more around how things have evolved and how things have changed, right? Because once Rishabh Pant got out, it was an entirely different match, and in fact, once Pujara got out, we knew that India had to play to save the match rather than to play, to win the match. So I think I just am happy, and I just don't want to say too many things about it, but it's just unadulterated happiness and pride around the way we have um, we've played today. And I tweeted when I think Srinath, one of my friends, he had tweeted on Rishabh Pant's innings after he had got out, and I just retweeted it saying that. This has to be the second most famous 97 made in Indian Test cricket after Gundappa Vishwanath's
yeah.
famous 97. So I think as an Indian, it just couldn't, and following cricket for so many years, absolutely proud. That's all I can say.
Absolutely. And I think talking about Rishabh Pant, what really took my eye today was that Rishabh Pant was very aware of what his game is. He tried to defend against Lion, and Lion got him to edge also on a couple of occasions. But I think the rub of the green was in favor of Pant today. And ironically, it was Tim Payne who returned the favor, this time in a very different fashion by dropping Pant twice. And I'm sure that Tim Payne is going to repent those two drops because both of them were pretty regulation drops. But I think, what do you feel on Rishabh Pant's gameplay, especially his stroke play on truer pitches? Like we already have discussed this, that on true bouncy pitches, he can be a real game changer. And today he actually showed. I thought another 10 overs of Rishabh Pant on the batting crease, especially with the new ball. Rishabh Pant, I felt, could have butchered the new ball absolutely.
You are absolutely right. And before I kind of talk about Rishabh Pant, I'll just say bring about something that I think we ended when we last spoke a couple of days back. I was always of the opinion that India could go for a win here.
Yeah,
With
you
Rohit Sharma
maintained.
around, yeah, I had maintained it, and I am more happy and rather really excited at the way Rishabh Ajinkya Rahane's captaincy folded in this test match.
Yeah,
Rahane promoted. Why would you promote Rishabh Pant? Because
absolutely.
Rahane also perhaps believed. I haven't spoken to Rahane, or I don't know what is going on there. I'm just observing from a third neutral perspective. I feel that Rahane also was believing that India could win,
Hmm.
which is why he sent in. It was a masterstroke to send in Pant. But again, sending in Pant is one thing, and delivering is the other thing. We'll talk
Absolutely.
about that. But I think I'm really fascinated at the way Rahane has captained and marshaled his resources, given the fact that he has so much of constraint. Right? You don't have Jadeja, who was your primary bowler, and I thought that Jadeja, if he would have been fit in the second innings while we were bowling, would have been very handy, especially with the ball turning away from the right-handers. Right?
Yeah,
So with so many constraints, Rahane still was, I think, believing that if Pant delivers, we could perhaps go for a win, and which was happening, by the way. So, uh, full hats off to Rahane. Statistically, he still hasn't lost a test match. I am really impressed the way he has captained in these two test matches. Now, coming to Rishabh Pant, and I think both of us were we have talked a lot about his keeping abilities and the misses that he has made as a keeper, but no one is bringing into question the abilities of Rishabh Pant, the batsman, right?
yeah.
So uh, it's kind of a Gilchrist type innings which he had played in Hobart against Pakistan, which of course
Yeah.
eventually led to Australia winning the test match in their
Langer and
partnership with
Gilchrist doing
Langer.
that 170-run partnership in a chase.
Yes. So I think Rishabh Pant, you talked about the fact that, right, when we talk of statistics or when you talk of data, it only gives us predictive analytics, right? But what happens when players like Gilchrist come into
Yeah,
the picture? It's a once in a lifetime thing, right? Completely changed the way you look at statistics, or you look at data, or you look at how things are perceived. So Rishabh Pant is, I'm not saying that he's still in that Gilchrist mold, but he played his natural game today. And I also feel that the test cricket arena suits his game more than the limited overs arena,
absolutely.
because because of the way he somehow gets time to play. The field is more inside. He can also hit over the both the sides whenever he wants. And the sheer joy at the way he was playing with freedom really kind of was I think the highlight of the whole day. Of course, we'll come into the later half of what happened later, with Ashwin Vihari kind of playing a master class. But Rishabh Pant, I think, the very fact that under so much of pressure, I have always maintained that when you are trying to go in a situation where you try to save the test match, you will not win. That is when you keep on making mistakes, and that's how you lose matches. Rishabh Pant, first of all, believed, and I'm sure the Indian team management would have also believed the same thing. He was going for a win, and which allowed him to play his natural game, and that is why we had the runs on the board. And if you saw what happened was that Australians were erring a lot. Shane Warne was on air saying that he was disgusted at the way when what is his name, Lyon was bowling to Rishabh Pant with five fielders on the boundary.
Yeah,
So when you start attacking, your opposition also starts thinking differently. The
absolutely.
field placement becomes haywire, and you start making decisions which you would normally not make when somebody is in a defensive mode. It completely changed the dynamics of the game. And what it also did was Pujara also started playing his shots,
Yeah,
as we discussed before, right?
yeah,
Pujara
yeah,
started opening up, and that, I think, was the biggest plus point of the whole day, around the fact that Pujara started feeling confident. He was opening up a lot, not just on the leg side. He hit Cummins for three fours after Pant got out. So I think that's my initial uh, observation of Rishabh Pant from whatever limited I saw.
yeah. And I kind of resonate with you, Dee. So for once, obviously, the kind of impact it had on Pujara's batting, and I know that in the the last time that we got together, I was not particularly pleased with Pujara's inning, and many people will disagree, and I still maintain my stance. Even this inning, in terms of data and statistics, if you look at it, it was a similar innings that Pujara has played. In fact, his 50 was slower than the 50 that he scored in the first innings. But still, this inning was a much better inning because whatever runs Pujara was scoring, there was a proper shot making behind it. There was a sense of intent behind it. It is not the strike
Absolutely.
rate. It is not the strike rate that we are talking about. There was a sense, even when Pujara was not able to score off Nathan Lyon, still he was skipping down and whipping balls to the mid wicket, mid on region, where he should be playing Nathan Lyon like the Pujara that we know him to be. And I thought that was a very pleasing difference for me. Number two, coming to Rishabh Pant, I thought you're absolutely right that setting a strategy is one thing and executing it is another. So full marks to Rishabh Pant to execute it and also to take the chances that came along his way. So I think he quite clearly he understood that defending is not really going to help his natural game, and he did give that initial 40 balls to the Australian bowlers. I thought he was about 5 runs of 40 balls initially when he was batting, and then the sort of sudden counter attack, and we talked about this as well. He launched on Nathan Lyon because, believe you me, of all the bowlers of Australia, the one that I was most worried about was Nathan Lyon because India has been very, very vulnerable to bowlers like these classical off spinners, Moeen Ali, Nathan Lyon, who are slightly side on, and they bowl this, very aggressive outside the off stump line. India has not really played them very well in the last 3, 4 years. If you remember, Moeen Ali ran through India in one of the series that India traveled
Yes, I do remember
2 years
that
ago,
match. Yeah.
and I was personally disgusted. So my fears was that, and I thought what Rishabh Pant did is that he completely destroyed Nathan Lyon today. He he took away the confidence with which Nathan Lyon bowls. I mean, if you look at the sort of defensive fields a bowler like Nathan Lyon had, he was running for cover with on a
Yes.
fifth day track against the ball which is spinning away from Rishabh Pant. He had a deep long on back. So and still
Yes,
Rishabh,
he did have.
yeah. See, it is okay to have the long off back because then you are hitting with the spin and therefore you need to protect the boundary. But to have long on back, it means that you're scared of the guy, that he will hit you time and over again. Uh, so I thought full marks to Rishabh Pant for instilling that confidence that, uh, of course, fast bowlers, etc. But Nathan Lyon was a big threat, and psychologically he took that threat away. And number two, I've also felt that and we've discussed that Rishabh Pant has the characteristics not in terms of the way he plays, but in terms of the overall structure of his game, pretty much like Virender Sehwag. So in white ball cricket, you know that these are the scoring shots of Rishabh Pant, and therefore you will block them out. You will put a defensive field. Plus, these guys they have a reputation of being uh, people who will score at 150, 170 of a strike rate every single time that they go to bat. But international cricket is not that kind, and therefore a red ball arena offers possibly more opportunity for somebody like a Rishabh Pant to come in and express themselves. And you saw the results. 20 over of Rishabh Pant's batting, 97 runs, that completely changed the momentum in India's favor. So I thought full marks to Rishabh Pant for playing that kind of an innings. And totally agree with you. Never thought about it so much, but I thought master stroke by Rahane, because if Hanuma Vihari had come at that point of time, and both Hanuma Vihari's and Cheteshwar Pujara's style are pretty similar, at least in this series of what we have seen, and therefore then it would have given the Australians that opportunity to get right on top of the Indian batting. And I thought,
Correct.
therefore, it was a brilliant stroke to bring Rishabh Pant in, and the kind of attack that he launched. We almost thought that we would have won the match had Rishabh Pant not got out at that point of time.
I had still always maintained if Rohit Sharma was not out, we were in with this absolute
Yeah,
chance to win. Because Rohit Sharma, once he's set, he will make the field look smaller. He will,
yeah,
he'll hit at will, right? Any form of the game. So then with the backup batting we have. So Rishabh Pant played. I felt bad for him on a personal note to miss out on the century, but it's as good an innings as
Absolutely.
it will
And
be
I mean,
remembered
I'm
for a
trying to
long time.
behave like that teacher who will always deduct that 1 mark, irrespective of how good you were in the exam paper. And therefore, that 1 mark advice to Rishabh Pant would be is that in the game, sometimes there are, see, you stepped out and you got out, it's perfectly okay. I'm not going to complain in the manner in which he got out. I'm just going to complain sometimes that the timing of the shot when you are playing it in the overall context of the test match, if you look at it, it was the 79th or the 80th over. So therefore,
As in,
sometimes,
yeah, as in,
uh,
it's fine. As in, I know from where you're coming from.
sometimes, and I think same goes for Rohit Sharma also yesterday. He got
Yeah,
out
exactly. Rohit Sharma is in. That's the frustrating part of. I am a huge Rohit Sharma fan. And after
yeah,
Sachin Tendulkar, there have been not a single batsman who has made me like tensed
yeah,
as an Indian. Rohit Sharma is that batsman.
yeah, and
Yeah,
I
right.
think and I think this is
It's
where,
frustrating.
yeah, and I
Rohit
think this
Sharma,
is
the way he gets out after,
exactly.
it's really frustrating.
And it is not about the manner in which they get out, but sometimes, and I think Rishabh Pant is a young lad, he will learn and understand to read the game. And I thought that is where players like MS Dhoni, etc., they were exceptional in reading the overall game. They could hold on to their shots and they knew when to really pull them out. That was the over to sort of play it out, play a couple of overs with the new ball, and the match was there possibly then for Pant and Pujara to take home. Anyway, we can. This is real life and not really
I
contingent on
still think
ifs
that
and
it's okay.
buts.
Matlab,
Yeah,
you have to give it to him. He's like, I think today somebody, Arunava Sengupta, I think, shared statistics around the fact that players younger to age 23 and less, more away runs with more average than Pant, only two, Tendulkar and Gavaskar. So Rishabh Pant is in absolutely good company, and uh, there is no talking about Rishabh Pant, the
yeah,
batsman. Having said that, I still maintain that Rishabh Pant, the wicketkeeper, needs to do a lot.
absolutely, absolutely. His wicket keeping is not even par for international level right now. His wicket keeping is not par. So great, fantastic, great hand to Rishabh. And then I think now let's move on and talk about our golden boys. One first, Cheteshwar Pujara, we've spoken about him, but would you like to add something? Did you see something different the way Pujara played in the second innings?
I just am happy that what we spoke about him in the last episode. Uh, Pujara Pujara has a lot of. He's beyond just a blocker, right?
Yeah,
He It was perceived that and today was the day he got out to a beautiful ball, I think. But again, it's kind of the similar way he got out. So let's not go into too much into of that. But he had done all the hard work. So Pujara, 6,000 test runs is huge, right? 6,000 test runs is huge. So we're not here to kind of the point is Pujara is a great batsman. He's moved from good to great. We were a little also perhaps expecting a lot more from him, which is why we were expecting him to also move into a second gear or third gear
yeah,
in terms of his repertoire. So which came in today, and I think
yeah.
partly one of the reason was also the fact that he had somebody like a Pant who opened up the
Yes,
scope for
yes.
him to play his natural game. So hats off to him, and he's of course one of our greats in this
Absolutely,
decade.
and I was very happy to see some of the shots that he played. He played an uppercut above the third man. He played a airborne square cut. Then he played all his straight drives today. They were played with far more intent, and what gives me the most happiness for a player like Cheteshwar Pujara is when is their ability to play spin. He was also playing Nathan Lyon quite beautifully, even though, in my opinion, I thought Ashwin played Nathan Lyon defensively the best today. Uh, that's what I felt because I I watched every single ball, but I thought these were the changes that I saw in Cheteshwar Pujara, and obviously he was feeling confident. Pujara is that kind of a player. Once he plays like, I think in this test match he's played about 60 overs alone.
He has that ability to, which is what I was saying at the very
Yeah,
beginning of the test match, right? Like uh, on day two, I think it was Pujara's day to grind out the opposition. The only thing he was doing is he was grinding out. He was perhaps not scoring as much
yeah,
as he should have scored. Uh, but it's not that he doesn't have,
and
the
and
capability. I think he thrives
yeah,
on. Today
I
was a
think
very
maybe yeah,
mentally a very different day, right? And I
see,
don't know, I'm just thinking it from. I always think that sport from a psychology perspective because of
mhm,
my professional work involving the same field around behavioral economics. I also sometimes felt that uh, you know uh, your captain's body language rubs onto your team.
mm,
The way Kohli also emanates a very positive aggressive, intent. Dhoni emanated a very calm intent कि कुछ भी हो जाए we'll win. You
yeah,
know,
yeah,
हो जाएगा. Rahane also has a very, very calm demeanor, and only somebody who's close to Rahane will be able to kind of share more insights around how he is as a person. But I thought that the mental ability that India as a team showed today, they never panicked.
yeah,
If you divide today's match into two halves, the first half India was going for a win. The second half India was going for a draw
yeah,
with one batsman injured and the other batsman on painkiller.
yes,
Ashwin's wife tweeted that he couldn't even bend down to uh, tie his shoelace.
correct.
And this is a man who took all the blows on the body and saved a test match for India as a batsman, right? So, it also boils down to the mental fortitude and also the technical ability that these people showed, right? I have always been talking about Ashwin, the batsman. He has 4 test centuries, right?
Yeah,
So you just have to, look at things. And it's not easy just to keep on scoring, right? Suddenly, when you know that you can't win and you have to block. And also, if you see, there was a time when Vihari couldn't run. So basically, you have to play one over, and the other person has to play one over. What if
yeah,
you're not comfortable facing that bowler? You could not even change the strike in midway because this guy has a almost I don't know what it was, but it was a torn. It looked like a torn hamstring or a very bad hamstring. In the middle of all of this, what they did today, only those who have watched, and it's a thing to be proud of. Absolutely.
yeah. And see, I also feel, I mean, obviously, we can talk about the skill and all, but then, plays like this, it is beyond skill. It is the mental game that you really need to bring in. And for me, what was really heartening, the spell that Ashwin, saw of Pat Cummins.
Yes, absolutely.
I thought
He was getting hit all over the body.
in recent times, I've not seen any bowler bowl with such immaculate discipline and lethality at the same time. You can be lethal like Mitchell Stark, but then you would be haywire sometimes. Maybe 4 balls or 3 balls in an over will come your way, but you also expect that 2 balls possibly will be biased down the leg side, or 2 balls will be completely off the radar. But
Yeah.
Pat Cummins was on the target all the time, and he was furious. He was fast and furious. I thought his bowling was extremely dangerous today, especially the short ball stuff that he gave to Ashwin. It was just one of the most difficult phases of the game today, and I thought once Ashwin came out of that, I personally got fairly confident that now we will defend the test match.
And Ashwin finally got an opportunity to kind of showcase the batting ability. And if you remember, I was always telling you that he has the ability to bat
Yeah,
late, as in play the ball late, and it was evident today, right? Of course, he had his chances, or rather, he had his luck. So that's okay. Every sport, you need that luck. If Gonzalo Higuain wouldn't have missed that shot, Argentina would have been World Cup champions. So Germany also had their luck. So you have your luck on a day, you take it, right? So
absolutely.
Ashwin had their luck, had his luck, uh, and hats off of it, he capitalized on it. So hats off to the character, to the batsman. And I also hope that uh, there have been so many talks about we'll drop Ashwin if it's an away test and all that. I just hope these things just get completely uh, buried till the time this guy is fit and playing well for
Yeah,
India. Both of them, Jadeja and Ashwin.
I think for one, Ashwin has proven to all because if you remember, he's the second highest wicket taker of the series after Pat Cummins.
Yes.
And this has been a series of fast bowlers, by the way. All the fast bowlers, including Bumrah, Mitchell Stark in phases, Hazelwood, all of them, they've looked really good and they've bowled really well. And let's not forget that this is Australia, which is a graveyard for visiting spinners. And Ashwin is the second leading wicket taker in this entire series. And not just wickets, he has taken quality wickets from the Australian. It's the third time that he's gotten Steve Smith out, which is no mean task. You get Steve Smith out at any point on in his innings, I think it is an achievement because Steve Smith just doesn't get out. He doesn't know how to get out. So if you're getting Steve Smith's wicket in today's time, I think it should be counted as two wickets. Credit to the bowler. so so I thought,
Steve Smith is the batsman, as in what a comeback he made, right? And we knew that he would make a comeback. He made a comeback.
yeah,
That's the hallmark of a great.
yeah, it's incredible. It's incredible. Now let's talk about Hanuma Vihari. Today, I was going through his statistics a little bit closely, and I realized that he's only 12 Test matches old. By the way, from a timeline perspective, he looks older, but he's played only 12 Test matches. I think he's only played a single Test match in India or something, a couple of them. So the remainder of all the Test matches, he's played in West Indies, England, Australia, and I think New Zealand. So basically, he's played all along the world in mighty difficult conditions, in conditions where after playing, KL Rahul got dropped off the test team, but the guy has held on to his position. I know that in the past I've talked about his ability to not play so many strokes, and possibly I might be wrong. I'm very happy to be proven wrong. But looking at the kind of test matches that you play and where exactly you play them, I thought some benefit of doubt needs to be cut to Hanuma Vihari because holding an average of 32, 33 after 12 test matches, it is not bad, it is not great. But let's not forget that he played on pitches which were not tailor made for batting. So your
Absolutely.
thoughts and your views on that, because now once India is going to have a problem of plenty, because once
It's a good problem to have.
yeah.
I think it's a good problem. It's a
So
good problem to have when you see what has happened to the Indian bowling,
how
right?
do you see Hanuma Vihari's future? I know that today the kind of the see he basically saved the day for India standing on a single leg. So and defensively, I thought he was forced to play the defensive game today because his condition was not such that he could have played the attacking game at all. And I thought he looked completely in his elements, absolutely unflustered, while in that defensive blockathon. His blockathon was not an ugly blockathon. He was defending balls. He was also playing some shots. Later on, he started playing a few more shots. And I just thought that the kind of tempo he has, it is pretty much similar to that of Cheteshwar Pujara, not in terms of shot making or the way they play, but in terms of how they pace their innings.
I would start by saying that somewhere I also felt that today was a day when, because of the too much of competition that is going around,
Yeah,
Hanuma Bihari was playing for his position in the team.
yeah,
Because you see, there is the practical reality is that too much uh,
absolutely.
there is too much uh, uh, competition, right? And it's a healthy competition. And what a way to deliver! I mean, you couldn't have summed it better that he saved the nation's pride on one leg, right? To bat out the almost 40 overs, more than that, I think, on one leg, literally, and at this point of time, perhaps the best bowling lineup in the world
Yeah.
at their own backyard, I think is demoralizing for the opposition
On
captain,
on on a
right?
fifth day, on a fifth day,
So
on a fifth day wicket, on a
yes,
fifth day wicket.
Yes, absolutely. On a fifth day wicket, it's absolutely demoralizing for the opposition captain. And I don't have anything to say. It's one of those famous. I won't say that it's similar to what AB de Villiers did when his blockathon, which saved South Africa a Test match in Australia, which eventually led them to win that series. I think that was one of the great de Villiers, a
Fab Duplessis,
blockathon, which
Fab Duplessis also.
yes. So I'm not putting him in that bracket, but if not, it is at least similar to what it did in Impact, right? It
I
helped
agree.
India draw a Test match. And I think India go from here on. India go into Brisbane. I know no team has won in Brisbane since 1988. I think India go into Brisbane with a slight mental edge, if not the edge in terms of resources of people and all of those things, but slight mental edge.
If not edge,
Uh,
then at least I feel that they must have left Australia
as in,
completely
because
frustrated.
of what happened today,
Yes.
because Australia should have actually won this
Yeah.
Test match.
This was Australia's test match to win. You have 400 runs. You have a fourth and fifth day, wicket. You have half the team not playing with the best batters. You're dealing with makeshift openers. You're dealing with makeshift number fives, number six. The entire sort of a batting lineup minus Cheteshwar Pujara and Rohit Sharma was makeshift. None of them were playing their original positions, and yet they were not able to finish
Yes.
India off with the kind of bowling attack that they have. I mean, that's more important to see because Cummins, Hazelwood, Mitchell Stark, and Nathan Lyon are as good a bowling attack as you would want to have in your team. That's for sure.
Yes, and I would also say that this is where, suppose I would, if I were the head of Australia, I would perhaps have wanted Nathan Lyon to have a little more variety in his bowling.
Ah,
Somewhere also feel that, especially Indians, having grown up on dusty dust balls in the subcontinent, play spin. Of course, we have been susceptible to spin a lot of times in recent times. But if you still have to select a group of people who play spin better, it has to be Indians, right? So I think if Nathan Lyon would have been little more, perhaps he could have gone a little more round the wicket and tried a different angle, something more, if not just on his loop or on something which kind of makes the batsman not predictable, a faster delivery, something, a straighter one. If he had those variations,
or a
I
floater
think
that.
it would have helped, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
agree.
yeah. Because at the end of the day, if you observe, these people were tiring very badly.
Yeah,
It was hot. Cummins, Hazelwood was doing a lot of the, and Hazelwood was, I think, like a bowling like a machine, right? So he has been throughout the series. So, but at the end of the day, you also need to realize that these are fast bowlers who are carrying a lot of the workload. So I think Indians have mentally and physically tired out the Australians. Of course, Brisbane is a very different ball game, different pitch, different conditions, different environment, and all of those things. But I still felt that Nathan Lyon uh, was a little bit more unidimensional. I think if Pant would have not stepped out, he would not have got out to Lyon. He
yeah.
had already kind of mentally demoralized him. He got out and was unfortunate. It hit the ball kind of pitched a little early
I
and bounced
yeah.
off the pitch.
I don't think Nathan Lyon has ever been able to get Pant's wicket while Pant has been defending. It has always been a bot wicket when Pant has been going after Nathan Lyon, and in the process, you know, sometimes the bowlers also win. So it was that kind of a wicket. It will not. It was not a wicket like. See, it was possibly a, like you said, the ball just dropped. Possibly Pant made a little bit more room than expected and things like that. But it was not a wicket that Nathan Lyon planned for and got it. Versus it was a wicket that he got it against hopes because all the fielders were on the boundary, and then he just managed to miscue one of those shots. That's all.
Absolutely, and also you have to look into context. This team, because one wicket here and there, and I think if you ask me what was the happiest moment for me today, although Ashwin came out uh, before, the happiest moment for me as an Indian, uh, you know, cricket fan was the fact that I was seeing Ravindra Jadeja padded up.
Yeah.
What a character that guy is, right? Ravindra Jadeja padded up to, with a fractured arm. You know, he has the he has the sword celebration after he scores a 50. He is like a soldier, and Ravindra Jadeja at this point of time has no replacement in Indian cricket.
Yeah. That is true.
Absolutely no replacement in Indian cricket. And I think that was the happy. If you ask me one moment from that day, which was the happiest for me, made me happy. Of course, there were different superstars playing different roles in different situations, but Ravindra Jadeja with an injured hand, rather with a fractured hand, padded up to come next, is what
Absolutely.
defined the character of this team today.
Yes, absolutely. And I think very remarkable test match. We would have had a lot of wins, but I will say that this draw possibly would rate higher than many, many wins that we've had. And I think in my entire cricket following history, I've not seen India, defend or draw a test match like this. Never. So it was a first for me also. I've never seen India actually go in and bat
Yes,
130 overs and defend the test match.
and in fact, we had people who were, and I won't blame them, right? Everyone, because we are expected to crumble. History has been, that is what I again come back to the point you mentioned at the beginning, right? Statistics will only tell you the past.
Yeah,
It will not tell you the future. And if you look at the past of it, now the wickets will tumble and will lose,
absolutely.
right? But and if you imagine, no one expected VVS Lakshman to score a 281 and India to win that test match, right?
Yeah,
Right? And all of that happens in the mind, right? And I think what was really exciting for me as an Indian cricket fan is the fact that we have moved beyond excuses. We could have easily said that we are a depleted side and we lost. But when you move beyond excuses, you move to that next level of mental, toughness as an individual, as a team, as a sports, unit. That whatever we are not saying, we're not bringing in the fact that we uh, we will lose because we are depleted.
yeah.
We don't have Kohli, we don't have Shami, we don't have Ishant, we don't have
We don't have
Jadeja, we don't have like
we don't have so many
anybody. But
people.
yeah, theek hai, matlab, we can lose. That
Yeah,
I think is the biggest plus for me, because
absolutely.
the moment you start accepting ki theek hai, we have an excuse for our loss, you again go into a shell. And now India goes into the last test of the series with literally, we don't even know we'll have an 11 fit people to play that next test match, 1-all. It also helps us mentally. And I think it also improves our chance in the World Test Championship.
I also hope that we don't have to call upon some locals in Brisbane to come and be a part of the playing 11. And on that positive and optimistic note, now I would like to close this session. But like you said, Didi, it's a great day for Indian cricket, and uh,
Absolutely. And like I said, let's just
uh,
celebrate.
yeah, it's beyond analysis. Let's just sit down and soak the day in. Because when I woke up in the morning, I thought, let me see how long India can fight today. If somebody had given me this result after the end of the first innings, I would have taken it happily.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And if you ask me, after day two, we had both agreed that Australia had the edge
Yeah,
with 400 plus runs to defend with the crumbling Indian uh, unit in terms of health.
yeah,
Um, any day you will take it, right?
absolutely,
As they say in stock market, if it is anything which is not a loss, is a gain,
absolutely, absolutely.
right? So I think it's a huge gain for India, not just in terms of result, but also in terms of mental approach to gain
Yeah,
to our position in world cricket,
yeah,
and how I think we'll only go up from here.
absolutely, absolutely. So see you around in a couple of days, and then we'll talk about GABA. Until then,
Absolutely.
goodbye, and see you again on possibly Thursday or Wednesday.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Bye bye.
Okay, Didi. Bye bye.